of that? Okay, yesterday, I should say, we talked about why people vote. Yes? Okay, so I put together a few slides because I told you I would, right? I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to look into it for you, okay? Because the voting demographics are changing. Now, this is the percentage of Americans that are registered to vote. So in 2020, 72% of Americans that were eligible to vote were registered, 72.7. Slightly increasing over time. And then the percentage of Americans that were eligible to vote that voted, like we said, was over 66% in 2020, which was high. You average the last, 30 years or so, it's between 58 and 60%. Good? Okay, now, today we're going to take a little bit of a look at how certain groups of people vote. Okay, now, this is based on exit poll. I've got another website I'll pull up here in a minute, but it's actually pretty close to this. So when you look at men and women, this is the 2020 election. Men voted slightly more for Trump over Biden. Women, 56 to 43. Now, I'm not sure what the 1% gap is there. Yeah, maybe it's like non-binary people. I don't know. Okay. So anyhow, here's the thing. Married women tend to vote more Republican. Single women vote strongly Democratic. So by the offset of single women voting strongly and married women voting slightly more for Republicans, women vote more for Democrats than Republicans. Does that make sense? Yeah. Ethnicity. Now, whites make up about 66% of the electorate. So whites voted more for Trump, or 57-49. African Americans, 87 to 12. Hispanic, 66 to 32. Asian, 63-31. And other, 58 to 40. Okay. Now, this is a highly sought after demographic would be ethnic minority. Okay. Now, you look at this and you say, wow, Trump only got 12% of the African American vote. Well, that's better than Mitt Romney did in 2012 and John McCain did in 2008. Okay. Now, when Obama ran, obviously he identifies as black. Okay. So he got 94% of the African American vote in 2008. Obama did. But it's not fair to say that black people just voted for Obama because he was black. Because since the New Deal, guys, African Americans have been voting heavily for the Democratic Party. Okay. So that is a group to watch. As is the largest or the fastest growing demographic is Hispanic voters. So Republicans obviously need to make up some ground here, and then Asians as well. Okay. When you look at age, young people vote heavily Democratic. The older you get, the more Republican you get. That makes sense. Okay. Education level. So those with college degrees voted more for Biden, and those without, it was 50-50. Okay. That has changed. It used to be those with college degrees more voted Republican, and those without voted more Democrat. That is one of the demographic changes we're seeing, is non-college educated moving more to the Republican Party, and the more wealthy elite moving to the Democratic Party. You guys follow that, okay? And that is something that Trump has had an impact on, okay? Now, guys, this one's kind of weird, but it's based on the median income of the county that you live in. Okay, so wealthy counties. Now, one of the wealthiest counties in America, and several of them are in suburban DC, and Virginia. Guys, the average federal employee, the person that works for the federal government in DC, their average income is $94,000 a year, where the average income of the average American is closer to 55, 56, 58, somewhere in there. So you have some very wealthy suburbs outside of DC and Virginia. So these over $80,000, they're voting heavily for Biden. Okay, then you go to rural Mississippi and you get your lower median income counties in poor places, okay, poor counties, they vote heavily more Republican. And you can kind of see how it changes. Okay. That's just based on counties. This is age. Another one on age. Okay. So young people. Okay. Guys, this is your peak earning years. You start to get into your peak earning years in here. Okay. And it starts to change. Okay. Now, this is a huge change to our system. You got election day voting, you've got early voting in person, and then you've got mail-in ballots. Now look at this jump. This was 2020. Okay. Yes, COVID. All right. Now, this is one of the things that casts so much doubt on the 2020 election, is how do you verify that all of these mail-in ballots are legitimate? Okay, and that casts some doubt for people. Now, this is a huge drop from, over 50% of people prior to 2020 voted in person. That dropped to 28% in 2020, almost in half. Okay. This has been steadily growing voting early because it's generally something fairly new, where you don't go vote your precinct early, you go vote at City Hall. They open it up. You don't have to live near City Hall. They just say, hey, early voting, you're registered in Sedgwick County, you can go vote at City Hall early, like on a Saturday, okay, because you're maybe working on Tuesday or coaching a doubleheader, something like that, okay? But this is something that is of great focus for both parties right now, is the mail-in voting. Now, this morning on the way to work, as I do, I listen to the news. And guess who I heard interviewed on the news this morning? Michael Watley, the new chairman of what? Republican National Committee. Okay? And I had a very good conversation about winning, how to win. And one of those things Republicans got to do a better job at is this, the mail-in voting. If you guys remember watching, I know it was 3 years ago, and you were just 15. But on election night, at 10 p.m., Trump was ahead. The votes that get counted first, that are tabulated first, are the day of votes. People that show up in person. And guys, traditionally, Republicans show up in person on election day more than Democrats. The mail-in ballots were counted later in the evening. Again, because Trump was ahead when a lot of people went to bed, and then at some point they quit, in some states, quit voting, counting, and resumed the next day with these mail-in ballots, which were mailed in more by Democrats than Republicans. Biden took the lead. And this was another thing that just kind of cast doubt on the election. Okay, so not saying that it was rigged or anything, I'm just saying those are things that cast doubt on. Okay, so this is kind of a big deal, all right? And both parties are focusing on moving forward. Now, okay, what is the frickin' problem here? Oh, now it's not responding. Why is mine? This happened the other day. Should at least let me move it. I mean, I have the files already open. If I close it, will it let me restore my session? Seriously, guys? I'm prepared. Everything's pulled up. All I got to do is move it over here. No, it's a couple of websites that I was going to show you. All right. Task Manager, Firefox, then Task, doggone it. Sorry, guys. Oh, restore session. Yes, please. Thank you. Didn't give me the article I wanted. Okay, here we go. I'm back. You're back. Okay, this is very similar to the exit poll. Okay, so men 50. So the other one was an exit poll. This is actual numbers. Okay, so men made up 48% of the electorate, women 52% of the electorate. Okay, 53% of men voted for Trump, 45 for Biden, 57 to 42. You see a disparity here. This gives Biden margin of victory. Okay, now race. Okay, 67% of the electorate, 58% of whites voted for Trump, 41 for Biden. African American, 87-12. Hispanic, 65-32, 61-34, which is very similar to the exit polling that I showed earlier. Age, okay, young people, 60 for Biden, 36 for Trump. Here, 52-46. Gets 45-64. Trump has a small margin there, and again here 65 and over, 52 and 45. This one I want to show you is income. Okay, so under 50,000, Biden 55-44, 50-100, 57-42. This is your suburbs. Okay, you got to do good in the suburbs. And then 100,000 over went for Trump, 54-42. Okay. This is 26% of the electorate, 39% of the electorate, 35% of the electorate. Okay, you can see. Union households. So even though most of the unions give money to Democrats, a lot of union households, still 40% voted for Trump. Okay, if you're not in a union, it was 50-49. So Biden winning both of those. These are interesting too. If you're a registered Democrat, 5% of registered Democrats voted for Trump. 6% of registered Republicans voted for Biden. Okay, that's your never Trumper group, the ones that. Okay, your independents. This is a big one. 54-41. Okay, independents. 26% of the electorate. Okay, good luck, guys.
Good luck, guys.
Run fast.
Throw far.
Throw far. And then you get more ideological guys. Liberals, this is interesting. Liberals, 10% voted for Trump. Okay. Conservatives, 14% of conservatives voted for Biden. Do these people know what they mean, or are they just saying they're liberals and conservatives? You know what I mean? I don't. Okay. And then, oh, you know who you are. The moderates, 64-34. Okay. If the most important issue for you in the 2020 election was who gets to appoint Supreme Court appointments, Trump won 51-47. Racism, Democrats, 87-11. And rising COVID cases, which was an issue that some people felt strongly about, 61-38, Biden. Okay. Those are interesting statistics. Okay.
Pandemic was over by then.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, if you go back to some of, you can remember some of Biden's policies, like mandating military folks get the vaccine. They were firing police officers. They were firing nurses. Okay. All right. I want to introduce you guys to a new topic in this website. Hi. Well, no, I'm over here. There we go. Okay, new topic. You guys generally have an idea on voting Democrat. Like who votes which ways? Based on race, based on gender, based on income, based on education. You got the basics on that. Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to talk about polling. Now, which one of you guys took that statistics class? Okay, all right, so when you're shaking your head. Who taught that?
I like
That's what I keep hearing.
you did the ACT with it.
Okay, keep hearing good things about that person. Is it a he or she?
You did the ACT with it.
Oh, that's the one. Okay. Yeah, she's nice. Oh, is it?
It is.
I never see her. Like, I seriously, I never see her.
That's why she had that. Somebody jealous.
Okay, guys, this November or October, when you guys are off at college, okay, and the presidential race is heating up, and you want to like find some non-biased information, this website is great. Yes.
We're going out of state for college. Do we have to go back to our state to vote?
Okay, so where are you going? Okay, going to Texas. Okay, you can register in Texas, okay, and vote there. I believe Texas allows college students to register. Some states don't. Or you can go on the Kansas Secretary of State's webpage and request an absentee ballot to be sent to you at your college address. You can fill it out, send it back to Kansas. Okay, just go Google absentee ballot Kansas.
You know, does Massachusetts college kids vote?
I do not know. That would not surprise me if they did. Yeah. Okay. I think Ohio was one that did. Okay. Now, so realclearpolitics.com. It's a great website. If you read these headlines, you're going to see headlines that are pro-Republican and pro-Democrat. You see both. Okay. But the cool thing about this website is the polling information. Okay. Now, if you were to look at the polls, and you'll see something called the RCP average, which is the Real Clear Politics average. So they don't actually do the polling. Other companies do polling, and they place them on their website. Okay, so kind of changed their layout here, which is throwing me off a little bit. Okay, general election poll taken March 28th. Okay, Fox News poll shows in a national poll Trump up by 5 points. What does a national poll mean? Nothing. Because it comes down to the states, yes? Okay. So this does mean nothing. Okay, so now you throw general election Trump, Biden, Kennedy, West, which is Cornell West. He's a very liberal Harvard professor guy, and Jill Stein, who's Green Party. Okay. Trump up by 5 again. What does this mean? Nothing. But it does show you some support for Kennedy. Okay. General election, Fox News, Trump versus Biden. Oh, this is Forbes and Harris. They got a dead heat, 50-50. Forbes has Trump up by 2, polling the same thing, job approval. Okay, so let me back this up. And let's look at election 2024, latest polls. Primary general, no, I want state polls. I want state polls, not just. No. Man, there's polls.
Latest state polls?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Arizona. Arizona is a swing state. Who won it in 2020? Biden. It had been normally a red state, but Biden flipped it. Okay, so let's dig into this Bloomberg poll. Okay. Actually, we don't want to do Bloomberg because you got to sign up to get their information.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No.
Yeah, I don't like
Give me a different polling organization. No, it's not. All right, here we go. Texas. Do we want to do Texas? We want to do a swing state. Here we go. Susquehanna.
Huh?
Okay. This is good. We got some information here. Top line survey results. Now let me ask you before I get into this. How many of you guys have a landline at your house? A landline telephone. We got 3 people in here that have landlines. Has any of you ever been called on your cell phone for a poll or survey? Okay, me too. Now, I think I told you this. Did I tell you this? When I was in college, I had to do a poll.
Yeah, you told us this.
Okay, guys, in statistics, did you learn this formula?
Probably. Yeah. I don't remember. 1 over
The square root of a sample size.
There were a lot of formulas.
So how many people are you going to poll? Well, to get a good margin of error, who's good at math? Well, everybody in here is good at math. Who's got a calculator?
Is it human?
All right, DJ is going to be my guy. All right, DJ. I want you to do this formula with 1,000 people polled. Now, how many people are you going to have to call to get 1,000 people to pick up the phone and actually answer the poll? Probably 10,000 to get 1,000. What's your number you got there?
0.3162.
Okay. Now, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna move the decimal point 2. No, 1. 1.
No, you're right.
Was it 0.0?
4%.
Is it 0.03?
No, just
Okay, we're gonna move it 1 point, and we're gonna 3.16%. This, guys, is your margin of error.
Is this cross-curricular learning mystery right?
Yes.
It's 31.6.
31.
It's 31.
No, it's not. It's 3.16.
You move it to, right, you need to move it to.
What's the number you got, DJ?
0.3162.
No.
No.
You did the problem wrong.
I did.
1,000. Square root divided by 1.
Wait, it's 1 divided by the square root.
That doesn't.
Point oh three.
I did.
0.0316, and we're gonna move it to, which gives us a margin of error of 3.16. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Do you know this formula? You should for the test.
Seriously, guys?
We're doing math on the test.
Cross-curricular learning. Now, DJ, I want you to do 2,000.
Probably like 6.
2236.
All right. Margin of error plus or minus 2.23. Now, how many people did you have to call to get 2,000 people to answer the poll? 20,000 people. Now, you're going to have to pay somebody to call all those people. Telemarketers. Now, did you know Wichita, Kansas is one of the hubs for telemarketing? Because Kansas and Wichita, we don't have an accent. We don't have a northern accent. We don't have a southern accent. We don't have a Minnesota accent.
That's not
A Wisconsin accent. Of course I am. Guys, this is expensive to do this. Now, let me give you characteristics of a good poll. How many characteristics are there of a good poll?
I bet 2.
There's 3. 1. It needs to be random. So if you go through the phone book, which you can't because nobody's got a landline anymore, it needs to be random. Now listen. The voting electorate in 2020, 52% women, 48% men. So in your poll, 52% of the pollees should be women. 48% should be men. 67% should be white. 13% should be black. And so on and so on. 26% should be independent voters. Are you following me? This is hard to do. And if you get 1,000 people in the margin error of 3.16, how good is this poll? Do we know? That's why you got it. The devil is in the details. So let's look at this. Good morning, afternoon, evening. My name is da-da-da-da-da. This is what they said. I'm from Susquehanna polling. Okay? You have to have an understandable question. People need to understand what you're asking them. Okay? And you need to poll enough people to get a quality margin of error. Here's another factor. Are you polling registered voters or are you polling likely voters? Because guys, as we saw, over 10% of registered voters don't show up to vote in most cases. So you want somebody that has voted in a recent election. They're a likely voter. Okay? So they got 198 Republicans, 200 Democrats, 52 independents, which is only 12%. In fact, there's more registered Democrats in this country than there are registered Republicans. Now, what state are we in? Arizona? Okay, this might be closer to accurate in Arizona when it comes to registered voters. Okay? Right direction, the country, 35%. Wrong direction, 61%. Not sure, 20 people. So how many people did they interview? Not very many. Your margin of error is going to go up. Okay? What issues are the most influence your vote for candidate? Taxes, government spending. The number one issue, education and public schools. Inflation, crime and public safety, immigration, 32%, abortion access, 26%, so on. This is the number of voters by age. Okay. Here's your moderates, 37%. Education. How did I vote in the last general election? Straight Republican, 22%. Mostly Republican, 19. Few more Republicans than Democrats, about equal. Few more Democrats than Republicans. Total swing, mostly Democratic. I mean, this looks like a decent poll, guys. Okay. Now, I'm not sure the demographics of Arizona, whether this falls in line. Okay. I mean, Hispanic in Arizona, I mean, they interviewed a lot more white people than they did Hispanics.
Right, this is Pennsylvania.
This is Pennsylvania?
Right, this might be.
Okay, this is Pennsylvania. I'm sure there's more registered Democrats in Pennsylvania than me. So this poll may be skewed. Okay. Male, female, they did pretty good here. Okay. So, pretty good poll. Now they only did 450 likely voters. Margin of error, what do they say? 4.4%. Okay. So here's the problem. These polls are not very accurate. The ones that proved the most accurate in 2020 were what were called tracking polls. So Trafalgar Group is one that does these. What Trafalgar does is they find 1,000 people to take a poll, and then they talk to those people and say, do you mind if we check in with you every month before the election to see if your attitudes have changed any on how you're going to vote based on the current events? These were the most accurate polls there were. So to find a group and kind of track that group to show trends. Does that make sense? As back in the day, it was easy to do these polls, to go through the phone book, do it random, and see what was up. Okay, can't do that anymore. Doesn't work. Okay. So, but this website is pretty good. Let me just show you what they have on the. Can I open something here? Okay. So, scorecard. This shows how much they were off. So like this was way off in favor of Democrats. Some of these are way off in favor of Republicans. Error favored in, so they had Trafalgar in favor off here. So what you're looking for is a low number in both columns, right? Would be best. So, yeah, like, so when these pollsters do polls, which way they're wrong, like which one they kind of their polls trend wrongly. Okay, obviously most of them polled in favor of Democrats. Just a few for Republicans here. So can you trust the polls? You know what I mean? That's a cool thing they have on here. All right, Trump versus Biden. Okay, yeah, see, here we go. We got Arizona. Okay, this is the cool part. Sorry. The RCP average. So they take all of these polls and average them together. So they're all done by different polling companies. They average them together. Okay, so right now, based on all these different polls from October to March, what state is this? Arizona. Trump is ahead in Arizona. Okay? Wisconsin. Trump is barely ahead. It's neck and neck, inside the margin of error. Okay? Michigan. Trump is ahead, probably within the margin of error, or close to the margin of error. Pennsylvania. RCP average, neck and neck. You got some polls showing Trump up, some showing Biden up. North Carolina, Trump, leading in all of those polls. Not surprising. Georgia, that Biden won by really about 11,000 votes. Trump trending well here. Okay, Trump's going to have to win more than Arizona in Georgia to win. Okay, that was good. Back. Okay, last one. Let's see here. Here, no. Okay. Can I get the real clear politics again? Okay, there we go. All right. Five-way national polls, electoral map. Okay, if the election were held today, you got your solid Republican, your solid Democratic states. So guys, as you get closer to the election, this gets fun. Okay, so your toss-ups here, 104 electoral college votes. We're neck and neck, and here's your swing states. Right now, based on polling, these are your swing states. Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Okay. Kansas. Is that the darkest red? This is the darkest red. This is lighter red. Okay. And then your deep dark blue, your lighter blues. Okay. So forth. No toss-up map. So right now, based on the polls that I just showed you, Trump's ahead, Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Arizona. That would be 312 to 226. If these polls were right. Today. We're still, what, 7 months, 8 months out of the election. And a lot can happen between now and then, obviously. 2 weeks is an eternity in a presidential election. Okay. The last 2 weeks, you wait for the October surprise. The October surprise. One of the two political parties is holding back a story that they're going to let out in October. Okay? Like Hunter Biden's laptop. Okay? Which was the October surprise last year. Last election. So, got a pretty good feel for polling and how much you can trust it or not trust it. What makes a good poll? Okay? Good? Okay. So when we get back from Easter, I'm going to do presidential advertising. We're going to look at political ads. Okay? We'll do that Monday into Tuesday. Tuesday into Wednesday. Looks like we'll have a test next Friday. Guy? Huh?
Testing both of your classes next week.
Maybe. I don't know if we'll get there in history. We'll see.
We got the state test at least.
We will have a math test. But you got 4 days to start prepping. There's no more notes for this class. Done with the notes. What we're doing there is just kind of fun stuff.
Wait, the rest of it here?
No,
Okay.
actually, not for the rest of the year. Because I'm going to plan it from here on out. Because we got to fly.